Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for frame rate is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
Frame Rate is brought to you by MailRoute.info. MailRoute is a secure hosted service that provides enterprise-grade virus and spam filtering to companies of any size. Try it right now absolutely free at MailRoute.info.
The time is now 2 a.m. in Bakava, Belgian Congo, the home of the Jungle Telegraph. We'd like to say hello to Ungat Unga Ump and Mrs. Ump and all the boys up at the transmitter.
It's Frame Rate!
You got that right, Tom Perry. We delivered. They said, you want an audio only? And they got audio only.
That's right. I've heard that before. I've heard that Belgian Congo thingy. Where have I heard that before?
I don't know. I think it's from an era that our grandparents thought was delightfully novel. And now it's a lost art to us in the 21st century.
I've heard that a bunch. Like, I knew that.
Chat room says Leo plays it.
Is what
Oh,
I've been
that's
told
where it's from.
From the chat room.
That's why. That's why. Welcome to Frame Rate. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Brian Brushwood, the show where we rate the frames, 36 of them at a time.
I was going to say, this is the show where we rate the stories about television and video.
So we shouldn't even rate the video anymore. We should rate the stories. We should read articles and just give book reports on the articles.
What'd you think of that Register article?
I thought the transparent use of third-person past tense voice was a little bit unusual, not going to lie.
You know, why doesn't anyone know how to write a lead graph anymore? You know, like a nut graph?
Yeah, what's up with the use of one sentence on a paragraph all by itself? I thought paragraphs had to be 3 to 5 sentences.
Is the inverted pyramid dead, Brian? I mean, I ask you.
What's up with that summary in the last line there? Well done, sir, I guess.
All right. Actually, we do have something like that to do. It's called The Big Story.
This just in, the big story.
Oh, we got it! It actually sounds old-timey, like he's actually reporting.
The best part is, I'm pretty sure he didn't re-record the audio.
Yeah, no, it's the same.
It's the same audio. Just he made it sound like it came from 1945. That's awesome.
For me. That's good enough for me. That's a win in my book, as far as I'm concerned.
Well done, Mr. Meeks. All right. So there was a study done recently by researchers at Hill Holiday, which sounds like a rest home, but is in fact a research organization. They took five Bostonian families, had their access to broadcast video cut entirely over Christmas break and replaced with the latest video-on-demand technology. And here's what they found. Constantly having to pick what to watch next was daunting, not only because it interrupted the usual flow of TV time activities in the house or required interacting with unfamiliar interfaces, but also because of the cognitive load involved in considering all of the numerous content alternatives. They basically said, you know what, we'd rather just lean back and watch whatever's on the tube.
I am so tempted to make this and that's why normies are idiot kind of moment, but I'm not going to lie. I think this is a valid point because people don't want the individual what do I pick next experience. They want a guided experience. Now, I can see some kind of like training your TiVo to know the kind of things you like, and it sort of makes like, well, this is what our channel is showing, but would you rather watch that? Or we noticed that you haven't caught episode 7 of, of whatever this show is. I think that we're going to see ultimately kind of a hybrid experience where you can get anything on demand, but then also you can have a guided experience for TV watching. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, it's easy to make fun of like, oh, really so lazy you can't even pick what to watch on TV. But there are people who are so lazy they can't pick what to watch on TV, and I am one of them. I am one of them. When I go onto freaking DirecTV and I don't know what I want to watch in particular, I have there's way too much. You have to spend hours scrolling through 500 channels, like looking at every one. There's no way to compare the ones you like side by side and make it. It's too much information. It's not hard. Like, it's not intellectually challenging. It's just too much information to sort through. I have the same problem on Hulu when you go into shows and it's like browse shows, and then it's got every show available in Hulu by alphabetical order. That's useless to me.
Yeah.
Give me something that is tailored to the stuff I like. Allow me to pick a few shows as an example. Give me the Pandora of video for this.
Right. And I think that's what this study is showing that users are asking for. We want to have control. We want to guide the direction of the type of TV we watch, but we don't necessarily want to be the DJ. We want to outsource the video DJ, ability to them. And but yes, absolutely. And furthermore, I wanted to say also something that popped out of my mind because everyone in the chat room is complaining about my audio. Sorry, it totally is washed out now. Sorry about that.
I couldn't hear you. No. We apologize on behalf of Brian for his audio. I think that there will be more and more of this kind of interface complaint as technology progresses, where people say, you know what, having the ability to choose anything from the infinite universe of options is unworkable. I need to have it curated. I need to have it narrowed down. I want to have the ability to go out there and find anything I want when I hear about it, but there are times when you want to go and seek, and there are times when you just kind of want to drift. That's how radio worked, right? You turned on the radio and you listened to whatever was on. TV worked like that for a long time too on broadcast, and there's something appealing about that. They're two different activities. One is I want to sit down and watch Being Human. And I've got Being Human on my DVR, and I'm going to start play and watch it from the beginning. We can do that now, and that's amazing. But that doesn't mean everything should follow that platform. Sometimes you're like, I just want to see what's on. And you know what I use for that is movie channels.
So think about this. Because of, let's say that the capability, the technological ability for video on demand very much expands to where you really can pretty much watch anything you want, then the idea of channels as these giant blocks of bandwidth dedicated toward a live feed become a little bit irrelevant. And instead, you could have channels be individual people, much as you subscribe to essentially a person on YouTube, and he decides what he feels like talking about from day to day. You could have somebody who at 24 hours a day say, well, today it's 7 o'clock, which means I want to watch Mythbusters, so that's what we're watching. And after Mythbusters, I like to double punch my science, and that's why we're going to watch this Pumpkin Chunkin Challenge on the Discovery Science Channel. And then we're going to watch this old rerun of whatever. And the idea of a marathon could be, don't forget this Saturday, we're going to have the Ultimate Star Trek Marathon. We're going to watch everything from the first series straight through and then go on to the next generation and then go on to blah, 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 blah. You can have that curated experience, but there's no reason that it has to be giant mega corporations using pre-established giant blocks of bandwidth in order to take care of that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even necessarily think it's always mindless. It's just the want of serendipity. If I only know about 6 or 7 shows, and then I've got maybe 20 or 30 that I like from the past, I'm limited. I'm only going to watch those shows. I want to be able to be exposed to something I didn't know existed. And what you're talking about is exactly the way it should work. There should be customized channel based on your preferences. You should be able to see, like, what's Jason watching? Oh, wow. Can't believe he likes that. Well, you should be able to see, what famous person recommends. Like, on iTunes, they have those, famous person playlists and stuff. And
let's face it, as unfair as it is, there is something to the idea that we want to watch what other people are watching. There's a reason that I can't bring myself to watch a show that I know is about to get canceled. Not because
voyeurism.
That show could be genuinely terrible, or maybe it's a great show. But we want the shared experience of, like you and I have on this show. We want to be able to say, dude, did you see Deadwood last night? When it doesn't, when it gets killed beforehand, you're not going to get that. So, if you're watching Deadwood, I feel like I'm watching it in a corner by myself, and I'm missing the opportunity to watch Fringe, which everyone is talking about. So I think that's not necessarily a dumb or stupid thing. I think it's a human nature thing, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think we will see this. Baltimore on early in this conversation wrote in the chat room, they'll figure this all out in a couple of years. It's like, yeah.
But they will, though.
I know.
They will.
The question is how. How will it be figured out? But I think he's right. I think he's absolutely right that they will figure this out in a couple of years. And it'll be a convergence, right? They'll take a little bit from what we have now, which is a linear channel model where someone picks what he thinks or she thinks is going to be most appealing to the audience. You're going to have a little bit of that, but not purely that. You're going to have a little bit of the customized playlist from influencers, and you're going to have a little bit of the Netflix thing where they say, based on your ratings of stuff you've watched on Netflix, we think you might like these shows too.
So this reminds me of an experience I had. You remember when I got back from Indonesia and I was terribly sick. I was up in the middle of the night with 103-degree fever, and I saw a tweet from one of my followers saying, hey, I'm about to watch this NASA documentary. If you want to watch, click along. And he gave a link, and it was a Ustream link. And now, obviously, and the guy was just playing. He owned the DVD. He was watching it, and he was inviting his friends to watch it. Now, on the one hand, I knew technically this was illegal because he was rebroadcasting copyrighted material, especially over Ustream, which I know is a violation of services. But we never had more than 4 people in the stream, and all 4 of them were in the chat room together. And while legally that's a mess, it was awesome. I spent the next 4 hours until 3 in the morning watching these amazing NASA documentaries, hanging out in person virtually with these buddies. It's so weird to me because all the rules are changing. It's hard for me ethically to see what is the difference between the 4 of us gathering at Ustream and watching a purchased video that this guy owned together versus physically being in the same room together. It was essentially a private viewing, but just virtually online, and it was amazing. So I would love to see more of that opportunity happening.
The difference is when you get together in your house, they don't think they can effectively stop you. So as long as you're not charging for it, they've decided not to enforce their rights. But I bet they actually feel like they have the right to stop you from doing that. They just realize it's impractical. Whereas on the internet, they haven't given up on that being impractical yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to put words in their mouths necessarily, but I am going to say that I would love to see that experience expanded to where all of a sudden, imagine if anybody could be a curator. Let's say within all of Hulu, you could have a clubhouse. Imagine Ustream meets Hulu, right? Where you host the channel, you set it up, you decide the programming guide, you have your own live chat room, and you do all the curation, and you become a channel where all of a sudden you're on equal footing with NBC and CBS or whatever, and you're able to create these ultimate mashups create the perfect primetime lineup where it's like, I would love to see programming crowdsourced like that.
I think we will. There's some experiments out there in this. There's some simultaneous stream watching going on. Microsoft is trying some of it. Sony's trying some of it. There's a few other apps out there that try to do simultaneous streaming. There's some Blu-ray technology that allows you to watch a movie at the same time as other people. So there's little movements that way.
And Grunge Bob is pointing out that Netflix parties on Xbox, which I haven't tried yet, but still, I think the scope of what I'm describing is what I'd like to see is wide open. I mean, how amazing would it be if anything was available and all of a sudden the sky was the limit, and if they could just get the licensing worked out for everything, what an amazing television viewing experience it would be.
You know what else is amazing?
Another big story?
Mm-hmm.
Tuck in your bootstraps. It's yet another big story.
Yes. Bootstraps.
That was different.
That was definitely
different. Tuck in your bootstraps.
All right. Another big story. Netflix rises as studios' DVD money plunges. A story by Greg Sandoval, who does a great job of covering the media space on his Media Maverick blog over at cnetnews.com. It points out, it's a good read. I'm not going to try to summarize the entire thing, but if you want to understand a little bit about what's going on, it's a good article to read. We'll have the links in the show notes. But essentially, it points out that Time Warner which owns Warner Brothers Pictures, generated $923 million in revenue from home video and electronic delivery of feature films, which was a 23.5% drop from the previous year when they generated $1.23 billion. Sony and News Corp also had drops in DVD sales, although they don't break out the numbers specifically from in their various reports. But Netflix profits are going sky high. So
that's awesome.
This is why all of the hemming and hawing and trying to, belittle Netflix is going on, because they actually know they can't avoid it, and they want to get the most money they can out of this new way of delivery, whether it's from Netflix, Hulu, or somebody else.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I certainly hope that my fees don't go up personally, but there's a lot more money to be made by Netflix. They could double, triple, or even quadruple the fee. And if the library was big enough for me to justify pulling the cable on cable, I would do it in a heartbeat. I mean, would you pay? How much more would you pay for your Netflix?
It's funny. Like, you asked me that, and I'm like, I don't want to let them know, Brian, because then they'll charge me that. It's a bad negotiation strategy. But I would probably go up to around $20 a month.
That's it. Let's say the library was tripled, and the
now you see that's why it's so hard to answer this. Like, well, can I get all the TV shows I want and every movie I want and the pilot episode of 10 Speed and Brown Shoe? Well, then I might pay $50 a month.
Yeah, well, and imagine, let's say it was everything that's currently available out there, anything that's on DVD. Let's say they pulled the licensing silver bullet, and anything that's on DVD is now available on instant streaming, both in standard and high def. What are you paying for that?
$50.
Yeah, see, there's so much more. They have such a right idea, and I hope they run with it. And good for them for running crazy. This is also a testament to the face-off between convenience versus image quality. And we already saw it with YouTube, had very low image quality, but you could click on just about anything and it would start playing right away. So it became synonymous with poor quality, fast access on YouTube. Likewise, there was a time probably in the last 2 or 3 years when people were saying, "Oh, no, Blu-ray is going to kill."
Wait a minute. I want to react to the chat room here, because they're going crazy. Like, $50, you're out of your mind. Cable's only $30. I can't afford that. Listen back to what Brian just proposed. Yeah. Every movie and every television show that has ever been put out on DVD or is available on demand is now at your fingertips to play at your leisure an unlimited amount of times every month. People pay $90 or $100 a month right now to cable companies for less than that. For a package that only gives them movie channels that decide what movies you can watch when they want to let you watch them in this weird windowing system. So $50 to say I get access to every television and movie ever made,
no commercials.
I think and no commercials is crazy realistic. I'm also not saying that would be the only package you could get. They would probably have that's like the unlimited package, right? And there's probably like a $10 package that gives you 10 hours of viewing, and then a $20 package that gives you 30 hours, whatever. There's some meters in there as well. So, before you freak out about that, that's saving a ton of money if that's the top tier plan.
It's hilarious to me to see the chat room turn around when you placed it that way. They're like, "All right, you sold me. I'll buy it for $50. Where do I sign, Merritt? You drive a hard bargain."
A couple feel like, make it $100. Now, let's not be silly.
We're like good cop, bad cop, good salesman, bad salesman.
Right.
But what I wanted to say is, do you remember just 2 years ago when we were talking about Netflix streaming, everybody was harping on the image quality, how it wouldn't quite be high def or would be nowhere near what you would get with Blu-ray, but how massively has the convenience factor trumped the quality factor when it comes to Netflix? And I don't even know that I care about getting it all the way high def. If I could just have everything, that's all I care about.
Yeah, I want to be able to watch the things I want to watch when I want to watch them, which sounds obvious, but you can't do that right now.
No,
you can do it in a lot more ways than you used to, but you can't really do it.
I mean, at least not legally. And we've already talked about this before.
Oh, that's good. No, you're right. You can do it now if you're willing to break the law.
I know, and I hate that. And we've said this over and over and over again. We are rooting for a legal solution that fits the demands that all the consumers clearly want. That's what we want to see.
Yeah. Box office was pretty good for the major studios. They were just shy of the record-setting $10.7 billion they generated in 2009. Overall ticket sales were $10.5 billion. This suggests that in a down economy, people continue to find enough money to go to the movies because they raised ticket prices again, but people still went, but are cutting back on buying DVDs. And, you know, all the time, they use these sales figures to justify why they need to stop piracy and why they need to force all of these intellectual property laws down the throats of the populace to make it harder to do the right thing with the content you own and absolutely probably do nothing to stop piracy. But yet they just can't see the other way. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think that's what's happening, or the theater numbers would be going down too. I think what's happening is people have other things they want to do and other ways to spend their money. And they're realizing, well, wait a minute. I bought all those DVDs and I don't even watch them. And now there's something like Netflix. Forget the online portion. The fact that I can get a DVD mailed to me. I don't need to buy every DVD I want to watch. So it's an inefficiency in the market that has been corrected for.
I am not going to lie. I honestly cannot remember the last time in possibly half a year that I've taken a DVD that I've purchased and put it in a DVD player. In fact, maybe not since 2008 have I ever taken physical media that I've purchased and put it in the DVD player. And even then, it's like I don't ever even use the Netflix DVD system anymore. It's all the instant streaming for me. Are you one of those guys who has a massive library of movies that you love to show off?
No, I actually got rid of them. I have a small library of the movies that I considered most important to me. Movies like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, The Matrix, the original Matrix, not the sequels. A few other baseball movies and stuff like that. I'd say we probably have about 40, 50 DVDs all told between me and Eileen.
And actually, I have to backpedal here because I said I haven't done any physical media, and that's true for DVDs I bought for myself. However, my kids have a metric crap ton of DVDs, and we put them in. I mean, they put them in themselves. They each have their own portable DVD player. They both know how to put it in, start the movie up, and run through the menus. So it's I don't know if that counts. Right now, I'm willing to say the barrier to entry for my kids is high enough. Although even my daughter knows how to open up the Xbox 360 and go find her Scooby-Doo's on the instant streaming still.
But they use that, right? And I think in the future, instead of getting your kids portable DVD players, parents will get their kids portable streaming players that just come with built-in internet. And, it's probably going to be built by Disney. And it's free internet, so you don't have to worry about your kids running up a bill, or having to pay for extra service. It's like a Kindle, and it'll only deliver Disney videos. And, you either have a limit on the number you can get, or there's a little bit of advertising in it or something like that. It'll be a kid's device for playing movies.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be essentially like a kids movie branded iPad-like device with an App Store experience. Where
that's exactly right.
They get an allowance. They can buy whatever movies they want, or once they own them, or maybe they have access to a back library and they press install and it downloads it. And it's going to have to be available offline for your long trips to grandma's or whatever. But once it's downloaded, it's on there, and you can clear out room on that. I'll tell you what, Disney, just in their own ecosystem, could make a $300 iPad device that did nothing but play Disney movies and gave an App Store-like experience for Disney-related books and movies, and it could be half the size and half the physical quality of an iPad. Parents will buy it, and they'll buy a $20 a month subscription easily.
All right, let's move on to yet another big story.
I hear this.
Stop everything. It's another big story.
No, hold on to your belt straps. Right?
Yeah, you know what? I had actually played those clips out of order.
Oh, you played
the one that you didn't recognize was another.
Was the new one.
And this was, yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I caught it before once it was too late.
Fine.
We'll fix it in post. New data came out from the IHS Screen Digest this week, which shows Apple's iTunes business is as dominant as ever. They grabbed 65% of the movie and internet video on demand market in 2010. Now, that's down from 74% the previous year. However, iTunes still pretty dominant at 65%. Microsoft, distant second with 18%, probably mostly made up from the Xbox, and Sony in third with 7%.
I'm guilty of falling to the convenience of iTunes, even though I know a lot of the stuff I buy is available on Amazon for a cheaper price. Have you used the Amazon player recently when you buy stuff from Amazon?
Yeah, we rented a movie on Amazon and then watched it on our Roku player because they have that Amazon app. What was funny about it, well, funny, but we started playing it and we're like, wow, this looks like crap. The internet connection just went way down. Now, I don't know if this is a hardware issue or an Amazon software issue, but I said, well, let's turn off the Roku and turn it back on again. And in true It Crowd style, turning it off and turning it on again fixed the problem. And we connected fine, and it looked fine. But it still didn't seem to look as good as the iTunes videos that you buy and download. We play back on our Apple TV.
Well, and I think also the device that you're on matters as well. Last time I used Amazon was when I was watching all the Prison Breaks, and you had to download. I bought it on one computer, but then went to my parents' place to download it, and it was like, sorry, you bought it on some other computer, and you can't get to watch it. And that was so infuriating to me. Like, after spending $60, $80 on the Amazon Unboxed store, not being able to get what I want on the computer I want, it just exploded. And then I went, I went to physical media for a while, and then, but lately I've been back on the iTunes bandwagon. That's how I'm watching all the Venture Brothers right now, and it's just so easy, man. You click it, and 20 seconds later, enough of it's downloaded, you can hit go.
The analysts at IHS actually forecast that iTunes' big rival will end up being Walmart, citing the emergence of Vudu, V-U-D-U, in the last quarter of the year. They bought Vudu, and Vudu has an app on Roku. Vudu has a device of its own. It's appearing on more and more of the widgets and internet-connected TVs and that sort of thing. And analyst Arash Amel says the future of the online movie business may come down to the competitive battle between Apple and Walmart. Although Walmart is not on the charts yet, the company soon will become a major player.
I totally believe that. Now, I'm looking at the website right now, but wasn't Walmart supposed to be a big player that was about to mess everything up for the music biz as well? Did that ever go?
That one didn't pan out. I mean, they are a big music seller, but no one has been able to bring down iTunes. Yeah, Amazon made the best run yet, but even that, they only gathered a small chunk.
I'll tell you what, man. On music,
business. Amazon
is nailing it because there's no DRM in it. And because they undercut every sale underneath iTunes, it's no brainer. Anytime
so they should, by all rights. Well, there's no DRM on iTunes anymore either. But by all rights, they should be killing iTunes, and they're not. It's again because of the convenience. People have iPods, and their iPods are hooked up to iTunes. And as soon as iTunes lost DRM, I stopped shopping at Amazon as much.
Wow, I didn't even think about that because you're right. When it comes to watching stuff, I've done that. When we were on a trip, I got the iPad running on the hotel Wi-Fi, and I just queued up like 8 episodes of The Wire, downloaded overnight, and the next day while we were on the road, I was able to watch all of them. You're right. I forget about the mobile devices. That really screws things up for Amazon.
Yeah. I mean,
do they not have a store within? There's not an Amazon app store within the iTunes app store?
No. I mean, you can use Amazon, and they have the download that will allow you to actually buy a song on Amazon's website and have it immediately placed in your iTunes. But it's one more little mental hop to have to go to the browser when you're already in iTunes. And
I guess
it's silly because in all fairness, Amazon's procedure makes it just as easy as buying from the iTunes store, but there's some mental perception of the iTunes store being in the iTunes software that makes it seem easier to use that instead.
Yeah, and you know how unfair that is. But it's one of those things that's human nature where it's like there's a dollar value associated with everything being in its own ecosystem. And I'm not going to begrudge iTunes what they've done. I mean, after all, what was it? Today, Apple became the largest company in the world, the most highly valued company anywhere in the history of bananas.
In the world, I knew they were the highest. I knew they'd become highest valued in the U.S. I didn't realize it was the world.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I misread the article, but we'll say the U.S. But still, I mean, it's like, look, they've nailed it, man. They're not selling software or bits. They're selling a piece of your brain and what you want. What you want is simple and easy, and people are willing to pay more to get less as long as it fits into their brain and the way they want it.
All right, it is time now. We've run out of big stories, but these small stories are just as interesting. We promise you. We start with Film. This intro makes me feel bad that I didn't watch any movies this week.
I did, and I can't wait to talk about it.
All right, what'd you see?
Wait, do you want to jump to that, or you want to talk about these aliens from James Cameron?
All right, yeah, let's get the James Cameron thing out of the way first. IO9 has an article up about never-before-seen footage of the alien puppets in James Cameron's The Abyss. Apparently, this is an outtake from a forthcoming DVD of The Abyss, and this shows them basically like playing around with the puppets they used to make the aliens at the end of Abyss.
That's awesome. And it looks good. Man, I love the old days of actually using physical objects and things because we have all become so hip to for example, well, okay. You know what? I'm going to spoil what I was about to say for a bit. I watched two nights ago.
Should we put the spoiler alert on?
No.
This is just a spoiler of you.
I watched The Dungeon Master on Netflix instant streaming. Did you ever see The Dungeon Master? Rage War?
No, I don't think I've ever watched that.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna talk about it, and I'm hoping that our own Raygun01 will call up the trailer for it. Already he's got it. Look at this. Can you get audio on this? This is amazing.
He has survived where countless others have died.
Good shot, huh?
He has destroyed all that would kill him.
Control.
He is the only one who can face the challenges of the Dungeon Master.
Yeah!
You are a worthy opponent.
I don't believe this.
Prince of Darkness!
Ozzy Osbourne!
Excalibur. Discover the secret of the Statue of Stone.
I remember watching this when I was a kid.
God, it looks like Land of the Lost.
All right, yeah. Go ahead and pause it. If you haven't seen it, you can watch it on instant streaming right now. But the Dungeon Master was it took forever to shoot, and there was all kinds of production problems. There's no fewer than 7 directors attached to it. It stars Richard Mole, the guy Bull from Night Court, and it was very beleaguered. And it was forgotten for the most part. It owed a big debt to Tron because it's about this computer hacker guy who attracts the attention of essentially the Dungeon Master, the devil, who decides, your magic of computers is amazing. And he gets teleported to a magical realm where he has to, fight things with his computer on his arm, shooting lasers. And at one point, he's in the middle of a metal concert, and they're always perpetually trying to kill his fiancée. But like that scene that you saw with the stop motion animation on that statue, like Chad Johnson, who travels on the road with me, we were watching this together, and he's like, this is hilarious to me that they did stop motion animation. I'm like, why? And he's like, well, because why didn't they just put a guy in a suit? And I was like, well, back in the 1980s, I remember thinking, well, this is stop motion animation, but for some reason, stop motion animation was still cooler than Godzilla style, a guy in a rubber suit. You know what I mean?
Right, because you looked at it and you're like, that looks artificial. That doesn't look like a guy in a suit.
Yes, exactly. Whereas if it was a guy in a suit, I was able to read that, and for some reason I'm like, that's just a guy in a suit. But if it's a herky-jerky animation, all of a sudden I'm impressed, and it looks grand and epic in scale. Likewise, I think that's where we are now with computer animation. We look at our Michael Bays and stuff, and everything seems made of plastic, but we can tell when something's a real object. Like, it's pretty obvious when you watch a Transformers or whatever, what are scenes that are a computer-generated robot that's moving with too much agility and too much precision and too much speed given its mass, as opposed to when it's an actual physical robot or car or whatever. There's this meat to it. And when I look at these scenes from The Abyss, there's something magical about the fact that they actually made these aliens and they went swimming around in the water and puppeted around. It's the difference between the magic of that Jabba the Hutt scene in Return of the Jedi versus every stupid computer-generated Jabba the Hutt they had in every other scene. Same thing with the Yoda. There's something great about physical objects that just gives it to me. I don't know. I think it's cool. I'm glad to see this, is what I'm trying to say.
I think what it shows is there is a good way to use physical objects that doesn't look faked. It doesn't look obviously puppet-like, because if you remember The Abyss, and even in some of the scenes that they show in this bit that are from the actual movie, it looked like real biological organisms. They did a good job. Only when they're showing the puppet in context, when it's out in full daylight and you see them moving the eyes around, they're like, oh, okay, that looks like plastic. That looks fake. Right. But that's not the context in which it's seen. So they use the deep water and the dark lighting to make it look real. And that doesn't wear out over time the way so many other effects do. And I think digital effects will get there. I think some digital effects are so well done and so good that they won't wear out over time. But what we're seeing a learning process, both on the audience side and the filmmaker side, where the audience is fooled easily, and so the filmmakers use easy tricks and don't bother spending the extra time and money to really make good stuff until the audience gets sophisticated enough and starts going, that looks fake. And then the filmmakers have to step up their game, and we're pushing and pushing and pushing until we get to the point where there are effects artists out there who can make physical effects look absolutely real, but it's really expensive. So we've fallen back to digital for a while because that's easy. We can fool people with digital, but we're now getting sophisticated about digital. So we're starting to push that up and up and up and up, and the technology goes up and up and up and up until we're actually able to make realistic-looking digital effects. And then one day, we as a species will get so talented at this that we'll be able to make digital and physical effects mixed together in such a way that will create mind-blowing stuff that maybe couldn't even exist in reality.
Now, until we get to that point, one of the things that I'm actually seeing is that different types of special effects now sort of give this this psychological push to let you know what kind of movie you're watching. Back in the late 1970s was a golden era for science fiction. That's when you had Planet of the Apes, Logan's Run, Mega Man, and there was a very particular type of special effects. Obviously, they all had miniatures that they were using. They were all using models, and that was what was so neat for me to see both the aesthetic and the technology used on Moon a couple of years ago, because it instantly put me in the mindset. It was like watching a golden age, late 70s sci-fi movie come out of nowhere in the modern day. And likewise, The Fountain, the Fountain of Youth movie that came back 4 years ago, they didn't have the budget for a lot of computer special effects. So instead, they used exquisite macro photography, giant mega close-ups of particles in liquid that created this otherworldly, soupy feel to it. And I love... until we get to that point where everything mixes interchangeably, I love the idea that you can use what are the limitations of different types of special effects and use them to say certain things about the movie, to set tone for it.
All right, shall we move on to the tube tops?
Show me your tube tops, Tom.
All right, let me just...
go ahead and put those on.
All right, great. This.
That was a little clunky. Sorry.
You almost got your bluff called there, Tom. It's almost all right. Go ahead. Let's see it.
Do you really have a tube top on under there, Merritt? Or are you just faking it?
I'll give you $100 if you actually wear a tube top one of these shows and then bust.
I don't even know if there's one. I would have to find one.
Just go to Goodwill, buy a child's T-shirt and cut off the T-shirt part and just kind of
tube top.
around there.
Oh, you don't want to see that. All right. Fox is now making an iPad sync app. ABC has already done this. Fox is doing it with their Bones show. So this kicks off with a new episode this Thursday, February 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern Pacific Time. With a host of add-ons. So the idea is you watch the show and then you launch the app on your iPad, and it includes polls, social media integration, even a jukebox that allows viewers to purchase songs that they hear in the episode via iTunes. The app also works when watching the program on Fox.com, Hulu, or via DVR. You just have to say, I'm starting it now, boom, and then it syncs up.
I am going to say that as you just described it, and I'm hoping that maybe the article was written poorly or our understanding of it is wrong, because what you just described is everything that's wrong with the idea of integration with television media. Let's make it a store. Well, you know what people want to do when they watch our shows is they just want to buy everything they see. Let's help them with that. It's so backwards and stupid.
Well, but it's not just that. It's also, give me more information. Can I click through to something else that has to do with what is going on? There's you get Twitter feeds from other people mixing into it. The fact that there's a store in here is interesting as a business story, but it's not the main event of the app, as far as I can tell.
There are two ways that I see that this could be successful. One is if it's clearly owned by the fans, and not just the fans, but I mean like people who give reviews, or like maybe there are a lot of people who will watch Lost, and as they go through, they'll read the article on Lost saying, hey, watch for this at such and such time because there's a clue here. And that's got to be taken out of the story completely and has to be about the telling of the story. And then the other is if they created an expanded narrative. If real time, tweets popped up during the show that told the rest of the story, that was integral to the story that you saw pop up later, that could be cool. And that could be awesome. And I don't know if that's what they're promising to do here, but teasing me with, you'll be able to buy music and the shoes that you see on the show. Isn't that great? That's not going to do anything for me.
Having overseen one of the first implementations of this kind of technology at Tech TV, it was called Gold Pocket. We ran it on the show X-Play, so that you would go to the website and you would answer questions about what was going on the show. And they were entertaining, fun little trivia questions. And you would get a score, and then the people who scored the most won a prize. It totally flopped.
Yeah.
I mean, some people did it, but it did not catch on. It did not suck people in. And I think the reason why is with most television shows, you want to watch the television show. Right. You only go to your iPad or your iPhone if you're not that interested in what's going on in the show in the first place, in which case you don't care about an expanded universe, or you go to it during your commercial break because you haven't DVR'd it and you just want something to do while you're waiting for the show to come back on. I think exceptions to that are live events like sporting events and news events. Those could benefit. If I'm watching election coverage, having an iPad app that is synced up to the coverage I'm watching to provide me real-time results in context, that would be fantastic. I'd love that. But it's more informational programming than fictional programming that's going to benefit from this, and everybody's trying it out on sitcoms and dramas.
Now there is anything that involves information where you could do your own data mining, where it's like if you're into this election and you really care about it, I could totally see it's like, shut up, Wolf Blitzer, you're not telling me about these 5 things that I care about. So it's like you want to get the big picture from the anchor, but you could be looking up everything individually on your iPad. But I'll tell you now what I could see being a massive success is if there was a special event on some episode. Let's say, we'll say it's this Bones thing or whatever. Imagine if in the background throughout the entire episode you saw different people texting different things and giving reactions in the background, where it's like if you didn't know there was a secret back narrative behind the whole thing, you can watch the whole show and enjoy it just fine the way it is. But imagine if you got a totally separate story by reading the texts behind everyone. I mean, there's a bunch of neat, fun things you could do, but I don't see institutionally this becoming a must-have way to complete the experience, at least not the way it's described here.
All right. I have been watching The Usual Suspects, and I'm actually a little behind. I didn't catch Being Human on Monday. I still got to watch that.
It's only like a 2-hour movie. I don't understand how many times watching it.
Being Human?
No. You said you're watching
no. I see what you did there. Yeah, that was Kevin Spacey joke.
Watch out for the gimp.
Being Human. What else have I been watching? V. I watched the Super Bowl.
Now you're still. We should talk about the Super Bowl, but are you still all the way on board with V, or have you?
I'm coasting at this point. I'm sliding off the V side. It's getting silly. It's getting stupid. And bringing back Diana, the original actor who played her in the original V, is the only thing keeping me on life support watching V right now, because I'm intrigued with seeing her and what she does, and they dole out just enough of her every time. But a lot of the plot points are just stupid now, and I don't think this show lasts another season.
Yeah, I can believe you. I mean,
Fringe, on the other hand, kicking ass.
Which one?
Fringe.
Oh, dude. It's on my list. It's on my list, but I'm home only for a few days. So in the meantime, I'm getting all the way caught up on the Venture Brothers, and this last season was so good. They go so many different directions. The writing is so awesome. Like, there's just one-liners that'll stick with me forever. Like, I think it's Dean, or no, it's Hank that says, when our daddy dies, are you prepared to adopt us? And he says, no, but I consider an extremely late-term abortion.
That's just wrong. And also
It is.
the Venture Brothers in a nutshell. The thing about the Venture Brothers, too, is like you have to watch it twice to really catch every inference.
And that's one that I don't feel bad at all watching secretly and then having to watch again with the missus, because I want to see, because it's like some of them, you don't even get the whole episode until the last 5 minutes. You're like, that's what they've been setting up the whole time. I get it now. And you do want to immediately go back and watch it.
Time for us to move on to some interferon for viral videos. I love that it says Jeff Goldblum.
And then for no reason whatsoever, Jeff Goldblum.
All right, what do we got lined up in our viral video cure this week?
Well, first and foremost, I wanted to play our favorite Super Bowl ad, because Twit alum Martin Sargent's voice was heard by over 100 million people live at the Super Bowl, which was easily my favorite ad from the Super Bowl. Can we take a look at this?
Yeah.
And once you know it's Martin Sargent, it's so obvious.
I didn't tell Eileen when it came on. I was like, we know this guy. Listen. And she's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. And when I told her afterwards, she goes, oh, I totally recognize him now.
That's awesome.
All right, so here we go, you guys.
That's not him. That
was me.
That's Jason.
That's Martin Sargent these days. He's a lot taller than he used to be. Oh, he's a tall guy.
Second voice is Martin.
Okay, any day now.
All right, so dude, check this out. I got a great idea for the Camaro commercial. We start in that desert,
Yeah.
And it's like, what car is that? And then it's like, bam! Whoa! It's super fast.
And mirrors, a whole bunch of mirrors.
I guess. But maybe it's a woman that's driving.
Hot.
Totally hot. She's blonde.
Redhead.
Or a redhead. We should be in the city.
Driving fast.
Screeching through the streets.
Dodging hay bales.
No, she's in a city. I don't know why you'd have hay. But what about a chase?
Yeah, with bad guys. And a helicopter.
Right, yeah, all that stuff. It's right behind her. They're catching up. This is where the energy is, man.
Yeah, they chase her onto a roof and she flies off.
Dude, she just flies off a building?
Picturing.
Yeah, I'm picturing disaster. Like, we need an ending.
I got it. Car lands, she drives up, she's a teacher.
Ah, teacher.
Hi, guys.
Hey, hi, Miss Evelyn. I did not see that coming.
And then
the announcer says,
the 426 horsepower Camaro.
That part at the end is not Martin.
Yeah, that's not him. Although that would be badass if he had that ability.
If he had the ability to just go into that.
But get this, that was the most watched commercial in all of the Super Bowl, and it crushed. That one had an estimated 119,628,000 viewers. The previous number one had 116,231,000. So by 3 million plus viewers over last year, and every one of the top 10 most viewed ads crushed the previous year. So for all our talk about how everything is becoming video on demand and we're getting fragmented, there are certain events where we all want to get together and experience one thing in real time together, which again, I think that's cool as well, because it's like, we do want certain things to be universal in our shared American culture.
And one thing that is becoming universal in our shared American culture is digging up old embarrassing videos. If you've been looking on the internet, there was one for the Today Show. A person got fired over posting that video to the internet, even though they didn't care that it got out there. They actually cared that it was put out there without permission. And it was essentially Bryant Gumbel and the other hosts at the time talking about the internet, but it was like 1993, and so they look stupid because they're like, what is the internet? But nobody really knew in media back then. The internet was a very niche thing.
I didn't realize that was unpublished, that was totally behind the scenes. I don't know if Jason's trying to grab the video of it right now or not, but you're right. They're all just like, does it involve the phone system or something? I don't understand. It is very funny, though.
But they were representative, and they actually played it on the Today Show and poked fun at themselves and said, you know what, that's the way most people were about the internet back then. And I remember even in the late 90s, a lot of people were like that about the internet. But we have another less viewed video of an old and slightly embarrassing ilk.
I think it's endearing. It's adorable.
Okay. Endearing is a better E word.
The headline was fantastic video of a nervous 23-year-old Steve Jobs about to go on national TV. This is on businessinsider.com. And if we have the footage, it gets good in the last half. It's only a minute long, but it's very genuine. And as I guess both of us being people who have done TV appearances, we all remember our first time, man. It's terrifying.
Okay, I'll go to this thing. This scrolls up and tells me welcome to the regular system card. So I put in, I go, it's going to work. I can hear the disc work and everything. So this thing scrolls and goes right past the screen. Where? So I pulled one of the ROMs out. I saw already bent the pin under it. I straightened it out to work. But after hours of getting this thing right, watch it scroll past it. Okay.
God, look at that. Look, I'm on television. Hey.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
TV in New York, too.
Yeah.
What's that?
TV
in New York, too.
No.
Yes, you are.
Am I really? Are you serious?
They're watching you right now.
They got you in New York.
God.
No,
I was just in
This
New
thing
York.
I'm going to let you put in your own ear and just,
Really?
you see what it is? It's a talk back. They're going to talk to you.
Now, this is not the real thing, though, right? You just want a picture of me now?
That's, they're going to just sit you. They'll sit you here for
Gosh.
Whenever you would like some water, Steve, or...
Well, I'm going to not have to sit here until you're ready, right? You're going to let me go away and then come back, or is
No, we're going to wire you in, so if you got to do anything, do it now.
Oh, yeah?
Okay? You want to go in the bathroom or anything?
No, you could bring me some water if you got some.
Stay there.
Oh, I'm not?
After we get a shot of him, he's free to walk around, and then the show isn't going on for another half hour. He'll have to sit there for a half hour. We're going to let him.
You're sure? Okay.
Great.
We'll let him both see.
That'd be good. You need to tell me where the restroom is, too, because I'm deathly ill, actually, and ready to throw up at any moment. So.
It's right across the hall.
Great. I'm not joking.
We're ready to go, gentlemen. New York's ready for a shot of him.
God.
So if for some reason you didn't figure out who that was Steve, a very young Steve Jobs doing what was probably one of his first television appearances.
It's amazing because he really is amazed to see him on. And look, I'm on the TV.
I'm on TV.
I'm going to revolutionize computers.
Bring me some water. That was the only time when I started to recognize him. You could bring me some water, though. Like, yes, there we go. He's in command.
Hey, before we take viewer mail and find out what they're watching, do we want to talk about other emails that people get?
Oh, right. Yes, you mean our sponsor? Yes, we would like to tell you about other emails that people get. Some people get emails about...
Your reaction was awesome. You're like, why the hell do we want to talk about emails that people don't want? That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard, Brian. That's, in fact, that's unwanted. It's like you're trying to throw spam in my face.
Well, yeah, I did. Sometimes it happens. You look at an email and you're like, what the crap is this? I didn't ask for this. I don't understand it. I don't understand what this email is asking me. And you know why? Because it's not an email you were supposed to get. It's spam. Yeah.
That was a very good reenactment you just did of what it's like to get puzzling spam. Because you think it's for you, and they're like, how do they know that I need Viagra? And then just like, you feel ashamed and you're confused and you wish you had never gotten it to begin with. And if only there was some service that would stop spam, because they're not going to stop sending it. But if only you could, like, I don't even want to know. It's not like that I wanted to show up and then get cleaned out of my face. I don't even want to know it's there. I want somebody to kill spam before it gets to my doorstep.
So you don't want to get save huge dollars on electronics. You don't want to get like claim 750,000 pounds in the British online promo. You don't want Javelia Coffee has a special gift for you. You want all of those to be kept out, and all of the emails from Justin Robert Young and myself and Jason Howell to show up, because those are the emails you're supposed to get. Is that what you're saying?
And you know what? I don't appreciate you bringing up those emails here on the show, because there's a reason that I use mailroute.info, and it's so I don't get spam, and I don't want my co-host reading spam to me in the middle of the show. But in fact, you could get mailroute.info that'll take all of your spam out. All you got to do is edit your MX record, and it will intercept your spam, flush it down the toilet, and speak angry words at it. Plus, when you sign up online, you get 10% off the lifetime of your account because you're a Twit listener. And
$2 per user per month, $30 for a single user per year.
That's amazing.
That means no more spam in your inbox.
I would pay a dime for you to have not even mentioned those spams to me five seconds ago.
Really?
I'll mail you a dime.
You'll really?
No, yeah, sure.
Shipment pending. Please complete to receive your Dell XPS laptop.
No.
Find romance or friendship or both.
I'll pay you $30 per user right now.
Limited time offer. Valentine's Day flowers starting at $19.99.
Where are you getting this spam? You have a spam Hall of Fame there?
It's a junk mail account for an email account that I have not set up with MailRoute.
See, and you can see.
I was about to go to my MailRoute enabled account, and I was like, oh, I won't have any spam there. I'd have to go to the vault. I could go to the vault. They have a vault on MailRoute where you can look at all the stuff that they blocked to make sure it's not doing any false positives. I've been doing this since the summer. I have never seen a false positive yet. I've never had anybody say, hey, I sent you something to that address. Why didn't you get it?
And then, or if they did, see, and that takes away the excuse. You can't be all like, oh, it must have been spam filtering or something. Because Gmail, I have seen false positives. I have important.
MailRoute will ruin your ability to say it must have got caught in my spam filter.
That's right. Trademark. Tom Merritt. MailRoute will ruin your ability to say it must have gotten caught in my spam filter.
That is one. You know, that Tom Johnson probably doesn't want me saying that, but that is one downside.
Done and done. No, we love MailRoute, and you should too. Make sure you go to mailroute.info. Get 10% off the lifetime of your order, and most importantly, keep us here at Twit in business.
Try it out for free for 2 weeks. All right, let's go to framerateshow@gmail.com. Nathan Lawrence has an email to you.
It says to me, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, I took your challenge and watched a random Netflix instant movie all the way through. It was Exam, an independent film in the vein of Cube, only without as much gore and with a much lighter story. Exam was one of those films where I couldn't ever really decide if it was good or bad. Overall, I was mildly entertained, though. If you like crazy and solvable puzzle movies, you may like Exam. I'm going to say, you know what? You may like Exam. You definitely will find the Dungeon Master interesting. So I'm going to say, don't watch Exam. Watch the Dungeon Master.
All right. We got another email here from J. Brian Holsey, who says, you know the kid named William Adama in Caprica? That was not Admiral Adama. That was his older brother. The William Adama in Caprica gets shot and dies in either the last or second to last episode. Then you see at the end of the last episode that the Adamas have another baby and name him after his brother. That baby is the old man.
We got a lot of emails about people because we pointed out that the young Bill Adama that we see from the upcoming Blood and Chrome Galactica series, we don't think he looks like Edward James Olmos at all. But a lot of people are like, no, he looks, he's not supposed to look like the one from Caprica, which I don't care about the one from Caprica. I'm saying he doesn't look like Edward James Olmos. That's all that mattered to me.
I also wish you would have put a spoiler alert on that email.
Why?
Because I haven't watched Caprica.
You have? I thought you have.
I haven't finished it, no.
Oh, my God. I didn't know.
Tom.
I thought you.
I hadn't read the email ahead of time either. So.
You're the Caprica expert. That's why I put it in there.
Yeah, I've been waiting to watch it with Eileen because she was gone. There was CES, and so it's been sitting on my DVR. We haven't watched it yet.
I'm so sorry, dude. I owe you. Hey, look, there's one more email here. Hey, Brian and Tom. First, let me say that I'm loving Frame Rate. You guys mentioned many TV shows on Frame Rate, but there's 2 good shows that I've not heard you mention. First, I want to suggest Human Target. Mark Valley plays a reformed assassin named Christopher Chance, who uses his special skills to help people who are in danger of being killed. Chance and his team blend into the client's life, wait for the threat to present itself, and then take down the assassins. Speaking of the team, Jackie Earl Haley is great as Guerrero. Human Target's a nice blend of action and humor. Cannot recommend it enough. The other one I want to recommend is Flashpoint. Flashpoint tells the story of a Canadian SWAT team that also functions as hostage negotiators. It's an excellent drama. Takes place in the late title screen, or takes the late title screen to the next level. Please give these shows a chance. Boy, I'm amazed at how many people send us in dramas. Everybody wants dramas.
Flashpoint sounds pretty awesome. Canadian SWAT team.
The chat room's exploding with enthusiasm for Flashpoint. Everyone's just shouting Flashpoint all over the place, so they seem to dig that for sure.
All right, cool.
And
Excellent.
you can send in your suggestions for framerateshow@gmail.com. We do read all of them. I try to respond to most of them if I'm able to, but Tom reads them all as well. And hopefully we can spoil another one of Tom's beloved shows accidentally next week on Frame Rate.
Now that we've all finished Caprica, I guess we can move on to watching some other shows. We'll see you next time.
Sorry, dude. I would have thought you would have known.